The night shift at Hollow Creek Hospital was always quiet to quiet. Tucked away on the outskirts of town, the old hospital had seen better days. Most of the rooms were empty, and only a skeleton crew remained past midnight. Olivia Carter, a nurse with 3 years of experience, had worked the graveyard shift long enough to ignore the occasional flickering lights and unexplained noises, but tonight felt different. At exactly 13 a.m., the emergency bell rang from room 306. Olivia froze. That room had been empty for months. It was the same room where an elderly patient, Mr. Graham, had died of a heart attack last winter. The call light glowed red, flickering slightly. A chill crawled up Olivia's spine as she grabbed her chart and walked toward the 3rd floor. Each step echoed down the empty corridor, and the overhead lights buzzed faintly. She reached room 306 and hesitated before pushing the door open. The bed was empty. A single heart monitor beeped faintly despite no patient being there. Olivia's hands trembled as she checked the device, confirming it wasn't even plugged in. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic and something rotten. She turned to leave when she noticed the mirror on the opposite wall. It was fogging up. A word slowly formed as if someone was breathing on the glass from the other side. Help? Olivia stumbled back, her heart pounding. A sudden knock at the door made her spin around. Her colleague, Jason, stood in the doorway, his face pale. "You heard it too," he whispered. She nodded, barely finding her voice. "The emergency bell. Room 306. It." Jason cut her off. "We should leave." Before Olivia could respond, a faint rustling came from the corner of the room. The old rocking chair, motionless when she entered, began to sway back and forth. Slow, steady, like someone unseen was watching them. A sudden whisper filled the air. A voice, soft, cracked, desperate. "He's coming." They ran out of the room and slammed the door shut. But as soon as they did, the overhead lights flickered violently, casting twisted shadows along the hallway. Then, the entire hospital lost power. Total darkness. The emergency generator buzzed to life seconds later, casting an eerie, yellow glow. A static-filled voice crackled over the hospital intercom. "Room 306. Patient needs assistance. Room 306. Olivia and Jason exchanged horrified glances. The hospital was empty except for a few staff members, none of whom were at the front desk to make that announcement. Something was playing with them. A scream echoed from downstairs. Olivia and Jason bolted down the stairwell, their footsteps pounding in sync with their racing hearts. As they reached the main hallway, they saw Nurse Avery standing frozen near the entrance. Her face was drained of color. Her eyes locked on something behind them. Olivia turned slowly. At the end of the hall, where the emergency exit doors should have been, stood a figure, tall, shadowed. The air around it wavered like heat-off pavement. Then it moved, gliding, not walking toward them. Jason yanked Olivia's arm. "Run!" Jason yanked Olivia's arm. "Run!" They sprinted through the corridor, but the hospital twisted around them. Hallways looped where exits should have been. The walls stretched impossibly long. It was as if the hospital itself had turned against them. The shadow figure was still coming. Doors that should have led to stairwells opened into empty patient rooms. No windows, no way out. Olivia's breath came in sharp gasps as she grabbed Jason's hand, pulling him toward the nurse's station. If they could get to the security office, maybe they could find another way. But as they turned the corner, they froze. The figure was waiting for them, up close. It was worse than they could have imagined. The shape was human-like, but wrong. Its limbs stretched too far, its head tilted unnaturally. Dark, empty sockets where eyes should have been. The air around it felt suffocating, pressing against Olivia's chest like a weight she couldn't shake. Jason stepped in front of her. "Stay behind me," he whispered. The figure raised a single hand. Long, bony fingers twitched slightly, then pointed toward Olivia. A deep, guttural voice filled the air. "You let me die." The words sliced through her like ice. Mr. Graham. The realization hit her all at once. She had been the nurse on duty the night he passed. A routine heart attack, they had said. No foul play. No mistakes. But what if? What if something had gone wrong? What if she had missed something? She shook her head. The figure lunged. Jason grabbed Olivia and pulled her backward. Slamming the door to the nurse's station, he locked it, his hand shaking. We're trapped. He muttered ... Olivia turned, scanning the room, then she saw the logbook. The old, dusty record where they used to manually sign in patients before the hospital upgraded to digital files. It was open. And a name was freshly inked in, Elliot Graham. Her stomach dropped. Below his name was something even more terrifying. Thank you for helping me. The air shifted, the oppressive weight vanished. A warmth spread through the room, a presence not of malice, but of relief. A miracle. Perhaps, a spirit finally at peace. Jason exhaled deeply, rubbing his face. I think our shift is over. Olivia didn't argue. They walked toward the exit, side by side, leaving the haunted night behind them. But as they stepped outside, the hospital intercom crackled one last time. Room 307... Patient needs assistance. Room 307.